Hi, I'm Velshi with MSNBC. This week, the Supreme Court heard oral arguments in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization. That's the most significant abortion case in decades. I'm joined now by Jeffrey Rosen, the president and CEO of the National Constitution Center. Jeff, this case could be historic because the state of Mississippi, defending its 15-week abortion ban, pressed the court to overturn its landmark decisions in Roe versus Wade and Casey versus Planned Parenthood. Tell us what the justices were signaling in the argument and what it means for possible outcomes.
Well, the biggest surprise of the argument, Ali, was that Chief Justice John Roberts seemed open to abandoning the central line of Roe and Casey, namely that fetal viability was the point before which you couldn't regulate abortions. That happens around 24 weeks, and Chief Justice Roberts seemed open to moving the line at least to 16 weeks. What's so special about viability, he said. But the even larger debate, and it was so important between the liberal and conservative justices, was about the nature of the court's legitimacy. Justice Sonia Sotomayor said, will this institution survive the stench that this creates in the public perception that the Constitution and its readings are just political acts if the court were to overturn Roe and Casey? And Justice Stephen Breyer quoted Casey and said, when a decision is unpopular, the court should be especially careful not to overturn it to show that it's not political. Now, the conservative justices questioned that. They said it doesn't make sense to stick by a decision simply because it's unpopular. Popularity should have no role in the court's decisions. They should simply be guided by the Constitution. And the way to maintain legitimacy is to decide based on the Constitution. And that, for at least several of the justices, seemed to suggest overturning Roe v. Wade. Now, in practice, Ali, it turns out that the legitimacy of the Supreme Court tends to track whether people broadly accept its decisions. And because Casey and Roe have been broadly popular with supermajorities of the public ever since Roe was decided, namely more than 2/3 of the public support some form of choice early in pregnancy, overturning Roe in practice is likely to be really unpopular, and if history is any guide, that suggests that there may be some kind of backlash against the court, which could lead to political consequences that are hard to imagine right now. But that's why the case is so important, and we will have an answer by June.
And that question of legitimacy is the stench that Justice Sotomayor was referring to in her comments this week. Jeff, good to see you as always. Thank you to Jeffrey Rosen, the president and the CEO of the National Constitution Center. Be sure to follow Jeff and the National Constitution Center on Twitter, Rosen Jeffrey and Constitution CTR.